You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. Well, if you're into real estate or thinking about it, got a real treat for you. Some people who got into this business and to date have done nearly 1,000 flips, tens of millions of dollars in real estate transactions. And recently they escaped from New York, which is never a bad thing, as one escapee to another. And please, it's great to have on Glenn and Amber Schworm. And guys, first, hey, I'm sure you're really upset over this winter weather we're getting here now in Florida. It's 65 degrees.
Really tough to deal with.
Really rough. Yeah, I can't stop harassing my friends. They hate me back home. I send pictures of us on the beach and go, how's the weather up there today?
Yeah.
Shut up.
We're in shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, I know the feeling. But hey, so you did it. How did you get started in real estate? What were you guys doing before you embarked on your real estate career?
Go ahead. Yeah, we were pretty.
Yeah, we were. I've been a business owner since I was 19. I started my first company at 19 and sold that 14 years later. And then Amber and I were both in network marketing, 2 network marketing companies for 5 years. That's where we actually met.
Yes.
And then we wound up going through divorce from our spouses, and she ended up moving up to New York later on. And then we started to decide what we wanted to do together. And because of going through divorces, we were dead broke. And I think people often say, "What's your motivation?" Well, you guys started. You guys started in 2007. You saw the future. I'm like, nope. We were desperate and broke. We were $80,000 in credit card debt, and we had to figure out how to make it work. So that was our, Amber's background is in a family business. So I'll let her tell you that.
Yeah, I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and grew up in a family business. And I always thought I'd take over the business when my dad retired, but then I realized that yes, while he was an entrepreneur and owned a business, the business really owned him. It wasn't what I wanted for my future anymore. So I kind of started looking around, and we ended up going to a real estate seminar, and there were only a few people in the room.
8
people,
including us.
And the guy's talking da 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 da. He goes, yeah, to be successful in real estate, you have to go into houses that she'll never go in. And he pointed at me. And just like reinforced, hey dude, don't judge a book by its cover, for one thing. Yeah. And all that did was add fuel to my fire, rather than get me down. And here
we are.
Yep, here we are. We just kind of jumped in with both feet.
Yeah. But I think his point really was that you're not buying a house to live in for this purpose. You're buying it as an investment, either to flip or to rent out to others, to rehab it or whatever. So don't imprint your values of where you want to live with where you want to buy.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Right. So
very, very true. Yeah. So, go ahead, Kerry.
So speaking of which, where have most of your flips taken place?
In the upstate New York market, up by Albany, New York, the capital. They call it the capital region of New York. So that's where our business is still doing close to 100 flips a year up there. We live down here. We have a great team up there, and that's what we do. And we also have dozens and dozens of rentals, single family rentals. And we also have over a dozen short-term rentals too, Airbnbs and that stuff too. So we're real big believers in, it kind of starts out with flipping, right? That's where you start. And then from there, you start building your wealth. You can start to accumulate rentals. And that's really where the wealth is, right? That's really where you build your long-term wealth, your tax shelters and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it's funny. You said Albany. A good friend of mine, he made his fortune in Buffalo.
Okay. That's even colder.
Yeah, well, and he was from California. So he moved to Buffalo, and it's a whole long, involved story.
It's almost as bad as moving there from Texas.
Yeah, I could see your point there. You got to learn to wear a lot of layers of clothes. So your first flip, it's always the first one's the hardest, right?
Oh yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears, literally.
Yeah, we bought that from a realtor. It was close by our neighborhood. I remember that I put the word out to everybody that I knew and said, hey, listen, we are looking to get into real estate investing. If you know something, let us know. I'll pay you a referral. The mail carrier came to my door. We weren't living together yet. Had you moved to New York yet?
Yes.
It was close. You just been there. And she came to my house and knocked on the door. I came out just out of the shower and said, what's going on? She said, there's a couple up the road. They're in their 70s and they're redoing their kitchen. They look like they're exhausted. You should talk to them. And I'm like, okay. I got dressed and I went up the road and I walked in and said, and they were in their 70s. And if you ever put a countertop together, it's a lot of work. And in your 70s, and this house looked like it was shambles. I looked around and said, you guys open to sell in the house? And she said, yes. And so we made a deal. We ended up buying that house. We used a bank mortgage back then. It was in 2007. So you're still able to get a bank mortgage. And we used credit cards to do the renovation. The funny part was at the closing table, we're buying that house. And I looked over at the woman and said, out of curiosity, when did you decide to sell us the house? And she said, the minute you walked in that door. Okay. So we bought that house. And
on that house, we did all the work ourselves, which we would never do again. And we don't teach to do that because you make a lot more money when you sub everything out and manage. But that one we did, and we ended up making, like, after everything was said and done, all the closings happened, we paid off our credit cards, we ended up profiting about $17,000 on that house.
And it wasn't like that was a lot of money, but to us it was, right? And we realized that if we could make 17 and we sucked, could we make more? You know what I mean? As we got better, could we do better? And that got our brain spurring. So we put 3 more under contract, and then the market tanked. Literally 2008, the market tanks right underneath us. And so I think we had 2 more houses under contract. We had 2 houses under contract. We lost all of our funding. The banks wouldn't give us money, and we had to figure out how to make it work. So we actually designed a way to find private lenders. And that's, to this day, we still use private money and private lenders to fund all of our real estate deals.
Yeah. And while the circumstances are very different for what's happening in the economy right now, it still is affecting real estate dramatically. So it's kind of like, real estate's cyclical. It always has been. It always will be.
Yeah.
But there's always a way to make money no matter what the market is.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So you're still primarily buying in upstate New York. You checked out the Florida market at all?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Osino Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. Osino's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which Osino's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. Osino's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. Osino has an excellent shareholder base with Ross Beatty owning 20%, insiders 5%, and Resource Capital Funds 8%. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. Osino trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Yeah,
I've been looking. I keep an eye on it literally every single day. Things are starting to drop some. When we first moved here a little over a year ago, I mean, it was anything that was a deal was selling in less than a day, like
hours, minutes.
Yeah.
Even if you contacted wholesalers, there were like 30 offers in the same day. It was kind of ridiculous. So I'm starting to see it starting to slow down a little bit. So we're definitely keeping our eyes open.
Yeah.
So how do you find these private lenders without giving up all your secrets?
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, I don't mind. I'm an open book. I'll just share whatever I can. The biggest thing I think we did was we put together a packet, and this is going back 15 years ago. We put together a packet saying, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's how much we pay. We're paying 10% return on the money. And so we said, listen, you're secured by a piece of real estate. So you're secure with a mortgage, a note, it's insured. So you're also secured by insurance, which is rare for an investment, right? If something catastrophic happens. And we said, and we put a packet together saying, here's the information. By the way, here's the first house we did. And here we listed out all the numbers that here's our profit. If you invest in this house, here's what your return would be. And I think the big secret for me was, it's going to sound very basic, elementary, but I said, I never asked anybody for their money. I just said, hey, who do you know who might want to invest with us? And ironically, a couple people called up and said, well, what about me? And I was like, well, I don't know. What about you? Let's have a conversation. So just by asking the side door approach, it took how many of us walk through a mall and somebody says, hey, you want to try this? And the minute you put their hand, you say, no, thank you. They could be handing us a bar of gold. They don't even have time to ask, right? We're like, no, thank you. So we stopped pressuring people and said, hey, would you want to? And lo and behold, we raised about $5 million over the course of a couple of years.
Yeah, and I think one of the secrets too is not to prejudge people, because you never know who has money.
You don't.
And one of our very first private investor wasn't somebody that had a lot of cash. She just had a house that had a ton of equity. So she got a home equity loan, and we basically made her payments every month and then paid her on top of that. Back
then we were brand new, so the rate was 14%. So she was paying 4% for home equity, and we were paying her 14%. So she was using other people's money and making 10% on it. She was bridging that gap, and she's still investing.
But case in point too, our cleaning lady, her boyfriend, and he was retired. Like, you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to go talk to my cleaning person about being a private investor, but he inherited a large sum of money.
Yeah.
So it's just really, everybody says, oh, I don't know anybody with money. My family doesn't have any money. My friends don't have any money. But you never know who they know that does, and you never know if they inherited something or they have something stashed away. You just don't prejudge.
Kerry, most of our investors too aren't folks that have millions of dollars laying around. They have a couple $100,000, and we actually help them. If they have any money in an IRA, we help them convert that to a self-directed IRA. I'm sure you're familiar with that. I'm sure you're listening.
Sure.
And then those self-directed IRAs, so probably out of our 5 million, I shouldn't say 5 million, it's 4 million now. We're actually kind of looking for some private lenders, because during the COVID years, we lost 2 of our investors worth about $1.5 million. So we lost them.
They actually passed away.
They passed away, yeah. So one was 90 something. He passed away from his old age, but then great guy. Another guy passed away from COVID. So we're looking to replenish some of that. But it's just average folks that have a couple $100,000 laying around, not laying around like we say, like it's just not under their pillow or anything. But
invest it, yeah.
Yeah, they just say, look, I'm open and curious. They like to see, and a lot of people like to help small companies work too. Like if they want to see, we just send them updates of our properties if they want to, and whatever.
Some people are just like really sick and tired of the stock market and the volatility of it and the roller coaster ride that is the stock market.
I always tell them, 10% with us is boring. What is 10%? It's 10%. It's 10%. It's not this. It's not the roller coaster up and down. If you love that ride, then go for it. But so yeah, we got our new. I don't know if you mentioned we have a new book coming out that's just hitting Amazon this week or next week. But it's the birth of the everyday real estate investor. How real estate, not stocks, are the way to wealth now. So we just have a brand new book coming out. We're excited about that, and that talks all about that.
All right. Well, that's interesting. Hey, we'd like to put a link to your website in the show notes. Where do we find you?
Yeah, you're going to go to glennandamber.com, and Glenn has 2 N's on it. So glennandamber.com, and that's got links to all of our stuff.
All right. Excellent. Well, we appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely have you back on again in the future. Maybe you go over a few cases with us, show us the numbers, how it works, and show us more about finding these elusive private investors who everyone knows are out there, but nobody can find when you need them. Yeah. And if you got a question for Glenn or Amber or both, shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. And when you're at the site, make sure you sign up for your free newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Guys, it was really great talking with you. Enjoy your new home state. If you're like me, you'll never go back and you have no regrets.
Yeah. No. Well, thanks for having us on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.